Truth Bombers Podcast.
Truth Bombers Podcast.
The group chat turned podcast with your hosts, Russ, Lockie, and BJ.
Here he is.
Big fella?
Lads.
Mate, he is big fella. I should have seen him touring around with the old tarp off in the gym this afternoon, Russ.
There was a change of tops, Benny.
Bloody hell, mate. Big rig on him.
You're so full of shit.
How are we, boys? How are we doing? How good is
We're
it? We're up and about. We're in a one game win streak.
Yeah. So this is the highlight of the year. It's coming, the win streak of one.
Welcome back to the Truth Bombers podcast. We don't do too many official openings, but it's a special week this week as Russ dubbed it the Essendon Premiership around this round.
Yeah.
Travel west in what's the most highly anticipated game of the round. 16th versus 18th, Essendon versus West Coast on a doubleheader Friday night with a delayed start at 8:30. Boys, this is box office Friday night.
850, isn't it?
8:50?
850.
8:40.
8:40. We'll have to check in with the Doncaster Russ and see if they're even going to show the Bombers game. Doubleheader Friday, it's junk. You miss a game during the weekend when they put two on a Friday night. It's terrible.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, I don't rate it.
I think it's even if you've got Thursday night, you even less need a doubleheader on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Get up for work. I'm in bed by that time. Come on, guys.
If their whole thought process is that they need to start the Friday game over in Perth at a reasonable time that they can get a crowd, change the day.
Yeah.
Like have the normal Friday night game and then let's play on Saturday Arvo or Saturday night or Sunday Arvo.
I actually quite liked the floating schedule of see which teams are performing better or doing well and reward like the better teams with the blockbuster Friday night. Like there's a Friday night game, you've got 16th v 18th and you've got like 10th v 12. Like,
maybe they're just trying to hide us behind the other game. Just like no one will pay any attention whatsoever to it. No one will even know that we're playing.
That's Saturday. The Saturday this week is like the most stacked day of what should be good, high quality football, potentially of all time. Any of those Saturday games could easily be like an incredible crowd and a big turnout and a big watch on a Friday night. So yeah, and instead you've got like Geelong Richmond in like the afternoon, Carlton Freo like 1:30 on a Saturday. It's like a bit lackluster, in my opinion.
Well, I know what I'll be doing Saturday.
Hard one to tip.
Very hard.
Yeah, I think this could the tipping could go. You could either blow out or like gain a lot of places. I think in this round of tipping.
We'll get to the tipping, but this could be flipping a few coins and really shaking things up towards the top of the table. So I'm super interested to find out who Russ's lock of the week is.
Well, he hasn't even put his tips in for tonight's game.
Yeah, we were just chatting.
Yeah, I was late.
All right, boys, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the recording tonight so we can get back and watch the rest of the D's Brizzy game, which actually looks like it's turning into a not so bad one. Who'd you tip, Lock? I
tipped the D's.
Yeah, so did I.
I was going to tip the D's and then I forgot my tips in until quarter time. So now it looks like I'm barracking for the old Lions.
Well, mate, this is what happens. You got to set reminders on your phone.
Yeah.
All right, boys. While bringing the teams up, first thoughts about our chances against West Coast, where I think they're paying the shortest odds they've paid all season, like 230 for the win. It's not even worth putting $10 on anymore.
I was listening to SEN today, and they were doing locks of the week, so similar to what we have here.
They're taking out now. What's happening?
Locks of the week. Not one person rang up and said Essendon to beat the worst possible team in the AFL comp. That's where we're at. Not one person is backing the Bombers.
What do you think, Russ? You think we're going to do it?
I think exactly what we've said from round. As soon as we discovered West Coast were shit this season and how poorly they were doing in like round 2 and round 3, we said that by the time we play them, all their players are going to come back and then they're going to find some form and beat us. And we got all their players back this week. They reckon that Newy's going to play. I'm a bit worried, to be honest. I'm very worried.
Lock?
I'm exactly the same. I'm extremely worried. I think they will not Panthers. I reckon they could comfortably win by 5 or 6 goals.
Oh.
Agree. Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah.
Boys, I was agreeing until what I saw last week against the Saints. And having done that to the Saints, I'm far more optimistic about our chances against the Eagles. But we haven't been able to back up 2 efforts in a row all year. This is the first time we've put together 3.5 quarters for the season. So can we do it 2 weeks in a row? That's the question. From the ins and outs, my first thought was, I think the club is pretty optimistic because we're taking the opportunity to go to Perth, bring in Nick Bryan and manage Andrew Phillips, who's been one of our better and informed players, in my opinion, for the last couple of weeks.
I reckon that has a lot to do with the fact that there's a lot of talk around that they don't think that Flip will get a contract next year or if he's actually the future. So they need to start playing a lot more Bryan this year. I know you're a big fan of him. And I can see your face already. You don't like hearing it. But I think they're going to start playing Bryan a lot more now over Flip because he is the future. And, Flip's just a little bit of a Band-Aid on what we've got in the ruck stocks at the moment.
Well,
I think Flip should definitely get another year contract. I'm not sure why we wouldn't offer him at least 1 more year. I do think it's good that Bryan gets another opportunity. From all reports, Flip was sore. So, bit banged up. Good chance to actually have a proper rest, trip over to Perth. So, yeah.
My thought is if Nat Nui is playing, Flip is playing.
So he hasn't been named, Nick Nat.
Yeah. And also, obviously, the good news, boys, the news we've been waiting for basically since round 1 is Kyle Langford is back in the side. So he comes in, obviously, with Nick Bryan, as we were talking about, and also with Will Snelling. So those are 2 pretty pivotal players for us that we've talked about, left big holes, from last season in our lineup. So to see those 2 boys come back in, if anything, that should be encouraging you boys or exciting you boys to see what they've got. Or are we nervous they're going to both come out, do a calf and do a hamstring in the first quarter?
Very, very nervous they're going to go get injured again. But if you had told me, I'm so excited to see Snell and Langford back in. And if you had told me that 2 years ago that Russell in 2 years would be ecstatic to see those 2 players in the side, I wouldn't believe myself, and I'd actually be a little bit worried that where we are as a football club. Not to take away from those 2 blokes, but 2 years ago, Snell was just coming. We just picked him up in the mid-season. We didn't think that those mid-season guys could actually make that much of a difference, but we've proven that with Massimo coming in, with Durham coming in, that those mid-season picks for us are huge. And yeah, I'm excited to see Langers come in and hopefully tear it apart.
That's part of the reason I am worried is that we do have a good side on paper. Little bit worried that those 2 players will be a bit underdone. Obviously, they played most of the game in the VFL last week, not a full game. So I'm wondering if they will look like they're ready to go or whether they'll sort of fizzle out in the second half. On paper, it looks like a good side. Obviously, missing McGrath. I thought he played a great game last week, so that'll be a bit of a loss. Yeah. Parrish has been playing good footy without being damaging. So him not playing, not the end of the world. I think we can cover that in the midfield. I'm really looking forward to see how our forward line gels. So with Langford and Snelling in, let's see what they can do. Now we've got Wright, now we've got Jones, now we've got Stringer. like it's actually starting to look how I thought it would look pre-season. Pretty dangerous.
Don't forget Guelphy.
Sorry, Guelphy as well.
Um,
Durham to pop up for a goal.
A couple. So Nick Bryan in obviously for Phillips, Kyle Langford in for Andrew McGrath after he redid that adductor. It was an adductor, right?
Abductor, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of groin issue, and Braden Ham omitted, which I guess doesn't really.
Shock.
Yeah.
Shock of the round.
Too many of us.
Well, I have one stat for you, Benny, just before you move on.
Go for it, mate.
Our only 3 wins this year have involved Braden Ham playing.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It must be maybe those 7 touches that he gets and the 15% efficiency that he disposes the ball with are really like turning the games for us.
Maybe the other players go, fuck, we've got Ham in the side. We better pull our finger out. Whereas when there's a better player in the side, we're sort of like, oh, someone else will do it.
So Zach Reed and James Stewart, unfortunately, has redone his ankle. Foot. He's done a foot. So he's done a plantar fascia on his foot. So those are they're tricky to get right. So I doubt.
Wait, who did it?
James Stewart.
You said Zach Reed as well.
Zach Reed still got his ankle. I think they're going to give him another run through the VFL, but I don't think he'll be back for a little while. And Stewart's done plantar fascia. So from the full back line, James Kelly, Jaden Laverde, Jordan Ridley, halfbacks Mason Redmond, Dyson Heppel, Nick Hind. Our centre line, Will Snelling back and on a wing, Zach Merritt in the guts, Sam Durham on the other wing, Dylan Shield at half forward, Kyle Langford at centre half forward, and Massimo D'Ambrosio on the other flank. 2 Moita Poita, Jake Stringer, and Harrison Jones, the full forward line with Draper, Caldwell, and Nick Martin following. Guelphy, Perkins, Hobbs, and Nick Bryan on the bench. And then our emergencies will be one of Ham, Zerk Thatcher, Waterman, Tom Cutler. Lockie, I'll ask a stat to clarify your previous stat. Have any of the games that Braden Ham that we've won, has he been the Medi sub and not come onto the ground? And have there been any games where he's been named as the Medi sub that are going towards counting to those wins?
I believe there may have been one game, but I think he might have even started all 3 wins.
Fuck. We'll have to double check that because I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't think he's actually been the Medi sub and come on, has he?
I think he's been the sub a couple of times.
I think
but I don't think he's come on
game.
when he's been a sub. Yeah, I don't think he's come on when he's been a sub though.
Big game, I reckon my 2 boys with big games. Sam Draper has to stand up. He's number 1 this week. There's no Phillips to get a chop out. Brian's been good in the VFL, but he gets pushed around a lot, and especially if Nick Nat does play. Who's their other ruckman? Who else have they been playing in the ruck? West Coast. Any idea?
Let me double
I've
check.
watched one West Coast game this year.
Yeah, me either. But big bodies still, Brian obviously still developing. So we need Drapes to go in and go in hard and throw his weight around like he did last week. I thought he had a cracker of a game against the Saints. And my other big one is Dylan Shield. I've been really wrapped with where he's been for the last 2 weeks. I want to see that continue. I actually think the last couple of weeks, he hasn't just been good, but he's been building. And that's something that we've wanted to see out of Dill for the last 3 years. So I'm hoping that he can continue that through. Get your 25 touches, keep kicking the ball forward, get run and carry, plenty of bounces, wrap up your 5 or 6 tackles, and you've had a ripper of a game.
Yeah. Bailey Williams is going to be their ruckman.
Any thoughts?
He's fairly inexperienced, fairly young.
Oh, maybe that's a good opportunity there for Brian to get one up.
Yeah, absolutely. He's only played 18 games. He's shorter than Draper. He weighs less than Draper. Yeah.
Thoughts about who'll get the Medi sub out of Ham, Zerk Thatcher, Waterman, and Cutler?
Waterman has to get it after last year. He tore him apart over there. He's a WA boy. His brother plays for West Coast. He tore him apart. Was it 3 goals? I think he scored last year.
Bag.
Almost won us the game last year. Yeah.
Big 3-goal bag.
Yeah. Well, how many bags have we had this year?
Yeah.
Are we talking about goals or?
No. Yeah.
Not enough. Not enough of either.
No wonder we're doing so bad.
Yeah. It's all worn off. It's all worn off. Locke, who's due? Who's due to stand up? Who have you been impressed by? Who are you going to be watching a little more closely than the other 17 on the field this week for our boys?
Stringer watch. I thought the first game back, he was obviously a bit quiet. Kicked 2 last week and had a big third quarter. Looked very dangerous. Could have kicked 3 or 4 in that quarter. So I'd love to see him have a really solid game and play a little bit more through the midfield, like those center clearances that are so well known for last season. I'd like to see him play that role and dominate through there a little bit more. Jones, I would like to see him continue his good form. He's sort of just been popping up with that goal or 2 each game. So I'd like to see him continue that. And Ambrosio, see if he can back up his debut. He looks so composed. He sort of looked like Martin. Martin came in round 1, looked like he'd been playing for 50 to 100 games, looked like a quality player, and he sort of continued that. I'd like to see that from Ambrosio, back it up.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, good call there. I'm interested to see how he's going to go on his second game. Is it just a flash in the pan? Like we've had a few boys come in early and then show some signs and then sort of drift away.
Do you reckon there's any like the first having your second game in AFL footy and your first trip all the way across the country? Do you reckon there's a detriment there to the first little bit of travel and getting used to it, changing time zones, the excitement, first time away with the boys? Do you think that adds or makes it more challenging for him?
I think it adds. For that first one, it adds. Maybe long term it diminishes. But for that first one, you get excited, like, oh, how excited is this? My first trip away. He's gone from being a part-time footballer to being paid to travel and go over and play footy. That first one definitely adds. That's the long term. You don't know though.
Yeah.
I'd almost say next round I'd be on watch because that trip to Perth obviously knocks players around. It seems to drain them quite a bit. So I wouldn't be too worried about this game, but more next.
Yeah, we're going to want him firing against Sydney at the G, that's for sure. We're coming in 1-2 last 2 games and knock off another top 8 side on our run home. Fuck playing for like any other team that's not based in Melbourne, where every like other week you're like on a plane, even to be in Sydney, like finishing a game of football, having run 16 Ks, battered and bruised, and then having to like change, shower, go to the airport, get on a plane, fly, land, get a cab from like or the bus, whatever it is, from like the airport home. Like you'd be finishing at like 3 a.m. after a night game, wouldn't you? Even if you're in Sydney.
Yeah. Well, so here's this. David Mundy plays his 360 whatever game. I think he reaches 11th or 10th all time in games played. Every second week he does that.
Yeah, fucking hell.
So imagine your entire career and it's spanned for more than 15 years. Yeah, crazy.
I go to Sydney for a 3-hour meeting and for work, and I'm exhausted for 3 days. So I don't know how they run 16 Ks, get back on a plane. Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm actually interested as well to see Hindy and Redmond this week. I thought Hind was back on their game against the Saints last week, and that again, like we sort of said in the last pod, you don't mind him getting done holding the ball once or twice a game, because it means he's probably had 12 or 13 carries and he's probably running further than his disposal usually is at the end of that anyway. So I'd love to see that continue and just see if we start to see Redmond, Hind, D'Ambrosio start to kind of rotate a little bit more through that half back line. But I think the timing of McGrath's injury is super unfortunate, because it actually, like, it looked like he had started to, we talked about experience, start to almost command and lead that back line a little bit. And potentially he was him putting his hand up saying, I'll play deepest back so that I can kind of orchestrate and conduct the play from back here. So they missed that.
Yeah, I agree with that, absolutely.
Maybe they were putting him back and they want him to take over the captaincy next year and play Heppel's role better than Heppel. I shouldn't say Heppel's role, but that sort of general down back. Because you're right. I think the last few weeks, I thought he sort of stepped up, not only with how he's played, but with his body language, with getting in the face of the opposition. There's been a number of things that have been like, oh, like that's what I expect from a player like McGrath.
Yeah, just sign. Just hurry up and sign already so we can start the succession plan of the captaincy of the club.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say is with McGrath out, it does mean that Hind and Redmond and Brosio, like there's enough room for all of them. So let's see how they gel.
Yeah, agree. Perko's been looking good last couple of rounds as well. You'd hope he continues with Hobbs. Hobbsy, rising star, probably should give him a shout out as well for his performance against the Saints. So hopefully looking forward to seeing those two continue to go through the center. And Caldwell has been playing really good, consistent footy as well. Like the tide is very much shifting, I feel, in the last couple of weeks. And I guess winning has a lot to do with that. But suddenly these guys that we've, been wanting to see so much out of for the whole year and for the last couple of years are starting to just string together that little bit of consistency and application and effort and everything else. And I guess that's part of what happens when you start to get closer to 30 games than your first game, right? And close to that 50 game mark.
I just have to stop you there. Winning.
We won last week.
You mean win? we haven't been winning. We've won.
Mate, we're on a hot win streak at the moment, mate. You got to enjoy it while you can.
Well, I think Caldwell's finally cracked 30 games, which is a big sign, Russ. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we keep saying we thought Caldwell was going to come in. We expected 100 games experience of a guy that's played 10. So, the fact he's cracked 30, if he's doubly as good at 60, then I'll be extremely happy.
And if he's triply as good at 90, then we'll be even happier.
Yeah.
Lovely, boys. Any final thoughts? Any final comments on the team list before we move on?
No, I think to go back to Hobbsy, I was really impressed with him. I don't think we talked enough about him on Monday. We didn't really sort of shout him out too much, but he got the rising sun.
The rising sun. He's at in Richmond on Sunday.
Yeah. I got my mind on tomorrow's the game already. I like the fact that we're sort of keeping playing him. He's had a couple up and down games, and we're consistent with playing games within him. He's playing the midfield, and he's got that. He looks young and inexperienced, but you sort of get that spark. So with Perko as well. It's like you're not quite there, but I can see a bright future. And those calves, those legs he's got on him, run through packs, and I think in a couple of years' time he's an absolute superstar. So I'm pretty excited they're going to keep playing him.
Here's a comparison that's just like jumping the gun massively, but he reminds me of a young Selwood.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that too. Like if we could get a Selwood out of geez, God, I hate Selwood, but I hate him because he doesn't play for Essendon. That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that. Yeah, a lot of people have been putting that comparison to him
in the way that he plays, Locke, or as a potential leader of the club.
Well, I think with how he looks, I think he actually looks a little bit like Selwood, but how he plays and just like he's got a bit of a ferocity about him.
This is like giving Baldwin games because from the side profile, he looks a bit like Lloydie.
Exactly.
But unlike him, he can actually prove it at AFL level rather than looks level.
And who's on blast, boys? Who needs a fucking lift? Who are we calling out?
Heppel.
Anyone else?
Ham's out, so Heppel's next.
I'm going to say, while you think about yours, look, I'm going to say Ridley. I felt in the second half of the game against the Saints. Yeah, second half of the game against the Saints, he played better. But, maybe this is just a function of being overwhelmed with the amount of ball that has been coming in. But he's been off this year. Like, he has not been usual, like, overhead contested intercept mark. Like, he used to take forward style marks as a defender the last 2 years. And this year, there was one in particular. can't remember if it was the third quarter, but he's come like second or third deep in a contested like 4 situation. He was the only one that went up for the ball, clear, like uncontested mark by the time he got off the ground, and just like punched it into like the 4th row. Like any other time he's been in that situation, and even later on in that game, a similar situation, he takes that mark. Like he's just been, maybe it's a confidence thing, but he's just been off this year, I reckon.
Yeah, I like that call. I don't think he's had a great season, and I think it has been a huge result of how we've played. We've just put him under too much pressure. So maybe if we get a bit more ball in our forward 50, he will get that confidence, and then he'll start to take those marks because he feels like we're in a more attacking position. Whereas because it's been just defense, getting hammered, that he has been a little bit more defensive.
He's fresh. He's not exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think last game was. I thought he stepped up a little bit last game, but definitely most this year, I would agree that he hasn't been playing his best.
Yeah.
Merritt for me, the last couple of weeks he's been quiet, and that might just be a case of Caldwell spending a little bit more time in the middle, Hobbs, Perkins a little bit more around stoppages, especially in our forward 50. But yeah, Merritt's just been down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't mind Merritt having 25 or 26, like, and there is more run through the center, especially when like on last Friday night, like we're in control of the game. And it's almost a good thing. Parrish out, Merritt disposal down, and our midfield looked good. Like we won that game, So yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say is he's killing my 30 plus multis the last 2 weeks.
We were watching, was it Friday night, and you were saying you needed Hobbs to kick a goal, but you still needed Bombers to lose. So you're still cheering for Hobbs to kick a goal, even though the outcome was going to cook you. Yeah.
I think Hobbs kicked 4 behinds or something that game.
And that's
3 or 4.
The score review right 4. At the end as well.
It was 0-4.
Come on, Hobbs, you got to do better. All right, footy tips, boys. Let's have a look at the ladder. Where are we? Russ, 1 behind me in 7th. I'm sitting in 5th, and Lockie is 2 behind, or only 1 behind Russ. It's tight. It's getting close now. All 3 of us in the top 10, finally.
Had a couple bad weeks.
But I think, like we said before, this round is definitely going to shake things up. Russ hasn't tipped for tonight, so he'll get a 0 there. What's this? Well, we got an update on the score, on the current score.
71-29.
Jeez, kicking away.
Jesus.
Beautiful. So Kat and Julia Hawkins, if you're listening, both tip Brisbane. We'll get 1 on them and make it a little
suck it, Kat.
push to the front. Lock for this week, Lockie, or should I say mine first and get in one of the easier games before they all go nuts?
You going first.
I'm going to take the Doggies over the Hawks on Friday night.
All right. Russ?
I might go Freo over Carlton.
Okay, that's not bad. That's actually
that's one
more
of
adventurous one for you, Russ. I'm impressed. I'll go Port Adelaide over Suns.
Yeah, I think that's a really good game. That was the last one I was tipping, and I was like, I had no idea how that was going to go. I think I changed my mind 3 times, and I think I ended up going Suns. But yeah, that's going to be. I think that's going to be a really interesting game.
Still can't trust the Suns outside of Darwin or Gold Coast for me. It's a tough one. They're the most informed team of the last 5 rounds, though. I saw that. But Port at home with the final, they're kind of like, if they lose, they're done for the year as well.
Yeah. Real interesting round.
Good round of footy, boys. This is what we want. Close games. Top 8. Right. We're just talking about your footy tips. Yeah. Very good, boys. Happy there?
Happy.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, Russ, have we made a call? Are we going to move to an audio podcast as well? This is breaking news.
Yeah. All platforms.
All platforms starting from this weekend?
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
Yeah.
All right. So the review game for the West Coast, we have to start with a win. If we beat West Coast, we're going to need to bring it forward.
Yeah, if we win, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're on everything, baby.
As always, we'll keep you up to date with the happenings of the potty. And boys, I will see you all tomorrow.
Yes, you will.
Go Bombers.
Go Bombers.
Go Bombers.
Love it.